That right there was an exhausting day. I was up at 5:30 today. 5:45. All right. I wanted to get to the barn early. We were going to warm some horses up early, and I was to the understanding that we were starting at 8, but Kelly had put out 8:30, which came in helpful as we got closer to 8 o'clock and realized we still had a lot to do. The extra half an hour actually helped. We had 11 horses today train. Just a lot still going on for the world not turning currently. We had a lot going on today. From this week, some big news. Obviously, I shouldn't say we. Everybody has been hoping and lobbying the industry to get some funding out to our clients, out to our owners, out to us to help. It's become pretty clear I'm going to end up losing a bet. A couple of bets. I bet my father, and I bet Paul Van Camp we'd be back in May. I'm going to lose both those bets, I believe. And, wishful thinking doesn't make it so. And I guess after discussing it with a number of people in the industry, quite more off here in Ontario, it's been clear that the popular belief is end of May at the earliest, likely first part of June we'll be back. For those of you with babies, I guess it won't matter to us in the sense that we weren't going to be ready to go until then. We won't be able to school until June, I guess, at the earliest. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, if we're practicing social... I just touched my face 4 times. My God. If we are to be practicing social distancing and having strict protocols at the paddock, how in the name of hell are we going to get all the babies schooled and qualified? There'll be no schoolers. Qualifiers will be a bit of a shit show, I think. A lot of... I touched my sleeve. It's different. A lot of intangibles. A lot of variables that we can account for. First and foremost, we'd like to get back racing. We'd like to do so in a safe manner. As I said last week, I believe that Ohio would be first back. They've pushed their believed... Now, hold on. They have suspended racing till May 15th minimum. That's the easiest way to put it. What does that mean? I don't think anybody knows. I think what you're going to want to see is a dramatic curve. A couple of our clients, we've talked extensively about this, and it's not that it matters. None of them are epidemiologists, as far as I know, and I'm certainly not. It's my understanding from listening to the news the same as you, and trying to understand what the... 5 times? Trying to understand what the scientists are saying. It sounds like they want to see a dramatic flattening of the curve. I would assume that would be different everywhere in all different states and in both our countries, different provinces. How does this concern everyone in total would be, how are they going to look at people traveling from other... We have like 25 Ohio breds, right? So just hear me out. We go to Ohio. Jason somehow goes to Ohio with the horses. We begin racing. I go over to drive. I leave Ontario. I leave my home. I'd have to go to Ohio, get a B1 at the border. Don't know how tough that'll be. Go to Ohio race, then potentially go to Pennsylvania race, and then come home. You can be certain the people at Mohawk are going to want to make sure I get tested. I am going to get tested. The last thing I want to do is bring anything home. Keep in mind, when we get back racing, there's still no vaccine for COVID-19 or any of its mutated forms. There's barely a cure that we're just talking about now, and it's not even a reality yet, not even close. Somebody said to me the other day, well, you can't go race. I'm going to go race. I'm going to make sure that my family is safe. They're not coming with me this year. And that's really the biggest thing, right? When you look at all this 6 times, when you look at all this, just do that. I heard it on TV the other day, an astronomical number, how many times a day you touch your face. This is my face. And I didn't believe it until I started physically counting how many times I touch my face. It's unbelievable. I know, thank you. My family's not going to come with me. That's a highlight of our calendar year, going on tour, being in Pennsylvania and Ohio, racing the horses. going to restaurants, staying at hotels. My God, the world's changed overnight, hasn't it? So that's not going to happen, right? My family's not going to come with me. I am going to go race. It's our barn. I want to make sure that the stable is represented. I want to make sure, doesn't count, it's my head. I want to make sure that the horses get the best opportunity, and we're not going to rehash this argument about, or this talk about, well, somebody else can do it. I think when it comes to our 2-year-olds, not many people know them as good as I do, especially on the racetrack, especially in racing form. And I think it's always a feather in our cap to at least get them off at the right foot, on the right foot, and know what they're capable of, and try not to exceed that. So me being in Pennsylvania and Ohio, I believe is important. Every time I say that, there's a part of me that same thing everybody else might say that isn't a part of the group, or maybe is part of the group. Is that a selfish thing? Is that really because I want to go drive them, or I believe it's best for the horses? I don't think anybody can answer that, truthfully. If I go and drive them and they race great. Baron Merriman drives them, great, and does well. Nevertheless, as of right now, I would assume there's going to be a lot of testing on Anthony McDonald this year. So we get the stranded purse money is coming. So as I was saying, we were trying to get money out to people, and the purse money that we theoretically would have been racing for is sitting in an account. They had to change some rules and regulations, I believe, and ended up getting that money out to you guys, to our clients. So I believe it's $1,000 a horse now for those of you that own Stonebird Simba. And yes, and final answer, those horses aren't on the list. I only entered the horses that were here. I'm not trying to skirt the rules. I want to do what's right for everybody, but I certainly want to do what's right for the system. I think the smartest thing they did was put it all online so everybody could see all the horses that were on there. If our horses aren't here, they aren't on the list. So I believe that money is coming next week. So there's that. They said it's going to be there for April. It's going to be there for May also, which is important because, as I said, I think we're not going to see any racing in May, at least in this country. Hopefully June 1st, and if it carries into the first part of June, I believe 7 times, I think they were thinking of helping everybody out with the 2-year-olds also, which would be helpful. Now, as you saw today, a lot of horses of ours trained. Some of them looked really, really good. A lot of them looked really, really good. And for a lot of the 3-year-olds, it's getting a little monotonous. They're ready to go. They've been ready to go. Maybe they were racing. We scratched some of them today and just trained them by themselves slowly to keep their to maintain their current form. As I was talking to Jim Lawson and Jessica Buckley the other day, I'd said, we trained 104 horses last Saturday. We're trying to keep our horses race ready because the best thing we can do for the industry is make sure 8 times is make sure that our horses are ready to go. When they say, hey, we're ready to go, you better have horses ready to win the box. Because, and what are they going to do? This has been an ongoing thing on Facebook and Twitter. If many of you watched this over the last week, qualifying days, we're going to be all well outside the qualifying days for the most part. What are you going to do now? Expect everybody to qualify? That's not going to happen. They're going to have to either make an exemption or change the rule. And, just off topic for a second, kind of on topic. When you're talking about qualifiers, I know there's a lot of gamblers out there saying you have to have qualifiers. How are we supposed to know the horses are ready to go? They don't make horses in Europe, France, Sweden, I believe, re-qualify. I don't know why we ever have to. When I go to qualify, we're just going around to get a line. There's absolutely no way to take a look at that qualifier more times than not and discern how that horse will be in a race, right? Because it's not really a racing setting. It's supposed to be, but it is not. And schoolers are a much more telling tale. A lot of times what we will do, qualify our horses, if I come off the track and the qualifier and say, just doesn't feel ready to go, we'll school them very hard next week. You don't get to see that schooling line. So maybe there's something there. Maybe we have to have, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I think qualifiers are useless. But we do have to make sure that our gamblers are informed of what's going on. How ready is this horse to race? Even though I would suspect everybody would have their horse race ready. Any professional would have if you enter your horse at Mohawk on Thursday, you'd want to make sure it's ready to go, like 9 times. I don't want to cheat. If I'm going to do it, I do it, and I just count it. I don't know. I'm a little torn. I understand from a gambler standpoint, they want to see that line. I just think it's a useless line, and it's a waste of time, and it really means nothing, because it's not an actual maybe barometer of the horse's readiness to race right now in a lot of cases. So in that regard, I believe do away with the qualifiers, but I really don't know what you're going to put back in place. And certainly in this condition, every horse in Ontario would have to qualify. That's not going to happen. So how do you waive qualifiers without opening up that box, saying, okay, we're going to waive qualifiers this time, but next time you have to qualify? I don't know. I don't know how you do that. So that's going to be a difficult conversation for the industry to have. I'm indifferent. I mean, I think qualifiers are mostly useless, but how do we update our gamblers? So that's kind of a tough thing there. As I said, we're going to give some of the horses that were working really hard over the last few weeks, maybe some time off, maybe 10 days in the field or just 10 days in the paddock at our farm, no jogging. We need to break up this. We don't need to break up the schedule. We need to keep them fresh, keep them interested about what's going on in the track, and at the same time, not have them too tight, not train them too hard. We know we're not likely racing till the end of May. It's the middle of April. And I had a very good conversation with Paul, one of our clients, Paul, and a number of other clients about when do we turn them out? What do we do? The 2-year-olds aren't being turned out. It's full speed ahead for the 2-year-olds. It's not going to impact us in any way in that regard. But when it comes to 3-year-olds, this is a difficult situation. It's easy for somebody to go on Harness Racing Update and tell you how to keep a 3-year-old tight. Every horse is different. You can't just keep every 3-year-old tight the same way. You know, a horse like Trafalgar, I'd said to you, it's no problem. We can train her whenever. But the thing is, she understands what a race is, so she's not garnering anything from being in a set. She worries and gets really stressed out in those groups. Like, she really takes training seriously when it's in a group setting, and she's already a skinny filly. I don't want her in a group setting. She's going to end up losing weight, or at least we could be using this time to put weight on her, and we can't because she's training. So those are things that we have to look at. So this catch-all, this is how you train a 3-year-old, how do you keep them tight? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely nonsense. And every single horse is different. The horses we train today, you could see some of them just weren't quite as sharp as they were last week. They don't have to be sharp this week, but we want to maybe give them a week off. Horses like Compass Rose DC, Ailsun, most of Jason's barn. Globetrotting will continue on because we really haven't stepped on the accelerator with her yet. Nancy, she's pretty hard on herself. She's good today, Nancy, wasn't she? I'm just looking for the 3-year-old sets here quickly. Here they are. Path of Totality was unbelievably good today. Probably go easy on her for the next 2 weeks. Harness AM was good. She might be able to train once more. Spend that money. Probably could do with a week off. Bottle of Red doesn't need to be going full bore. Hometown Boys was racing and took a lifetime mark. Frontier Cruise, I believe Kevin wants to keep pushing a little bit with him. Capistrano, that'll be up to Harry. I'm indifferent when it comes to that one. Miss Brampton Beast, again, same type of thing, but Compass Rose DC can get a week off. Probably Johan can too. I was we'll talk about Johan later. Watch Avenue, another horse that was racing all along, looked great today. Does he need to keep going? I'm going to ask Kevin about this. This isn't so assume I'm the federal government and they're the state government, state-run government in some senses. I'm not their boss, but I am their boss. I'm not going to walk into the barn and tell them what to do, although we have conversations all the time about what's best. This would be a state-run government decision. I'm not going to step in and say this one needs to be turned out, that one needs to be turned out. These are conversations, and we have great dialogue anyway, our trainers. So these are conversations we'll have, but I would suspect a few of these horses can just take it easy for 10 days. As I said... so yeah, we have the 10 days off. We talked about the 10 times. We talked about the stranded purse money and how that's going to be coming out. I think it's $1,000 a horse. I think the stable.ca might have 30 some horses that would be eligible for that. And then we talked about when racing might resume. I suspect it'll be somewhere around the 1st of June, which it makes me almost grind my teeth to say that. I was adamant that it would be much earlier than that. And some people had said much later. I don't really think, the doomsday people, and, you still have the lunatics that say 2020 is over and no one's racing till 2021. That is an absolute impossibility. But now we could start up and have a flare up of this somehow. I'm not a scientist or a doctor, but that could happen. But we will be back to racing, I believe, hopefully, first part of June. And also, I'd like to thank everybody for sending your checks in. Listen, you guys know what we're up against here, right? We have no purse money coming in. You guys have the same no purse money coming in. And it bothers me to say, I'm going to have to reach out to people and say, hey, just send your check. And I don't even trust the mail. Every day before COVID-19 hit, we had, before the coronavirus, we had 10, 20 pieces of mail, whether it be flyers, bills, checks, every day at my house. We get 2, 3 now. Yeah, I can see the flyers aren't coming because there's no businesses open right now for the most part. But not a lot of bills, not a lot of checks, not a lot of anything. And I know we've had some of our clients that said they'd sent checks. If you haven't and you can, I'd really appreciate it. It's getting tight. It's been tight. And if you have sent checks, I haven't and don't see them leave your account yet, I may not have got them yet. I know we have a couple of clients from the States that said they'd sent checks 2 weeks ago. I haven't seen them yet. So I appreciate, though, you guys wanting to help out, as soon as this happened. And our clients are the best. I've said this a million times. People, if there was anybody that said, I'm in a little financial trouble, there's actually, our clients are the type of people, most of them, where they wanted to help out strangers. And I'd gone over this, and I don't want to keep going on about it, but it was just so impressive, and it really, I don't know the best way to put it without sounding corny, I guess. It warmed my heart, though, to know that, one, there are people out there that would do that for real, and two, they were our clients. So thank you again, all of you, for doing that. I got some top 10 lists to talk about in a minute. I got 2 of them. We got the 3-year-olds today. I want to talk about some horses that wowed the hell out of me today on the 3-year-old rank side. I'm going to talk about the 2-year-olds that look good to me today. I'm not going to make a top 10 list overall. That would be unfair. Some of these horses just look so good, but they've come out of nowhere, and it's hard to put them on a top 10 overall list. They'll make their way there if they continue to train like this. A couple of horses I told you guys to keep an eye on and watch were in the mix today and look really, really good. And then some of the 3-year-olds look good too. So I'm going to be back in a minute. I'm going to talk about the top 10 list for the 2-year-olds, top 10 list for the 3-year-olds. Now, the other thing I want to do is every week, the last couple of weeks, and just because you guys are home, and I know you are, and you guys know how hard we're training. I mean, it's 5:45 on a Saturday. I'm sitting in my car like an idiot, drinking whatever the hell this is, and, wanting to make sure that I bring all the videos I can. And Amy had said to me last week, geez, Anthony, this every day you make a video. Unless I'm wrong, I'm assuming people want to know what's going on. If I find it pertinent enough to make a video about it, I'm assuming our clients would like to watch it. So we're going to keep them coming as best we can. Like I said, we trained over 90 horses today. On the horses, that's wrong. We trained well over 100 when you talk about the horses that weren't droned today. We had 11 sets today, so we had to have 90 horses, 85, 90 some horses trained under the drone, and then a whole slew of them trained on their own before and afterwards. It's been busy, right? Really, really busy right now, but it's good. I'm happy. This is our part. This is what we can do for you. I know you guys are under a ton of strain, and you're locked up at home and feeling the same things that we feel: frustration, a bit of terror, to be honest. And for those of you who are like me, that like to look down the road and look on the bright side of things, look for the silver lining, it's hard to do that because you don't know when this is going to end. You don't know what the future is going to look like, and it's frustrating for me to no end. So without further ado, I'm going to call this off. Opening video is going to be done. I'm going to come back in a minute. I'm going to give you top 10 horses, both on the 2-year-old and 3-year-old side, that really impressed the hell out of me today. We're going to talk about all the 2-year-olds because a lot of our clients, cut myself off, a lot of our clients always say, oh, Anthony, you just said, oh, he's good. Oh, he's good. So you want me to elaborate? Fine. You asked for it. You're going to get it. I'm going to elaborate on every single 2-year-old and a lot of the 3-year-olds in the burn. You're going to be in for a lot of video watching. It's not going to be a short one. So I'm going to come back in a minute. We got 2 top 10 lists. I'm going to do the stables. And then I'm going to give you a very, very in-depth look at all the 2-year-olds and all the 3-year-olds. I will be right back.